I'm Leinhardt, live at Periwinkle. I just came back from Machu Picchu, Peru, and it was a wonderful trip. This was the last thing on my husband's bucket list, so I decided that I would do it for him. It was fantastic. It was really a different culture, very interesting and educational. A lot of times the people were in their native costumes, and that's what they wore always. And they were very happy to show their skills, their crafts, and they were very friendly people, very outgoing. Lima is the capital city, and it's at sea level. We stayed at a very beautiful hotel in Lima for 2 days. It was really first class. We had the city tour around Lima. We saw the very beautiful architecture there. The Spanish influence or Peruvian influence is very obvious. The churches are in the style of what you expect a Catholic church to be, because the majority of the people in Peru are Catholic. The second night we had a big meal with everybody, a get acquainted type meal, and there were 2 other people from Shell Point. When we left Lima, we got on a plane and traveled up near Cusco, and there we got on a bus, and there was a long bus ride, so there was no place for lunch. So they had arranged for us to have a picnic lunch prepared by a very famous hotel, I guess. And they had tents out in this open field, and the food was like 7 or 8 courses and champagne, and it was very, very elaborate. And then there were probably 6 native women who brought their weaving equipment with them, gave us a talk on what materials they used to dye their fabrics, and where they got their wool from the llamas and yaks, and so that was very, very educational. And we had a chance to purchase things if we wanted to. After the lunch, we proceeded to go on to Cusco, and we spent 2 days there acclimating to the climate, being very careful not to overdo, because altitude sickness is not fun. So I think it's 13,000 feet, almost 2 miles, I think is the, so it was an experience. There we saw several museums and pottery from the early Incas, and beautiful garden. And there we also had a ceremony by a shaman who, he and his son performed the ceremony, and it was very moving. And he did the blessing of the east, west, north, and south, and the wind, and really enjoyed. We stopped at a llama farm where they raised them for the wool so they could weave. And there was a section with some women, I think, and they may have been the same women, weaving, and we got to experience seeing the llamas, which was an added, not in the program, it's just one of those things that the guide was able to fit in. The trip to Machu Picchu was on the 5th best railroad in the nation. It's named for the man who found Machu Picchu, but it was first class, and it had an observation car. The scenery was gorgeous. The Alps were gorgeous. They were all snow-capped right now because it's sort of winter there. And there's a river that flows alongside the track, so that was gorgeous too. When we got to Machu Picchu, we checked into our hotel. It was rustic, but it was very, very well done. By that time, it was evening, and we went to the entrance and went in, and it's a steep climb. You see all these terraces that the natives had prepared. They carried dirt from the base and built these tiers that they used for agriculture. They grew corn and potatoes mostly, but the stonework was amazing. They used no mortar. They just cut the stones to fit exactly. It was breathtaking, really. As you walk up, you're kind of winding through some narrow passages or narrow walkways, and then you come to this opening, and you walk through that opening, and then there it is. It's just magnificent. It's spiritual, really. It just takes your breath away. The next morning, we were able to go again. Several of the people went even further. I chose to sit and just contemplate the beauty. The weather was really fantastic. We went expecting it to be cold. In fact, some of the clothes that we took were too warm. We were quite fortunate as to the weather. We had blue sky all the time. The weather was gorgeous. When you're up at Machu Picchu, you feel like you are standing on the top of the world, and that you can see forever. We had a very interesting tour guide who explained the farming situation and the living situation, and also that no one knows why the culture disappeared. There's no written record of the civilization at all. It's a mystery. It's amazing how many relics are still in the area. The town built up around it, but they preserved everything they could that was a relic. My favorite part of the trip was actually experiencing Machu Picchu. I knew that this is what my husband wanted to see, and I was seeing it for him, and I felt close to him and close to creation.